What's up, guys? Welcome back to a new video. Before we get started, I would just like to ask you guys to take the time and subscribe to the channel. I'll wait until you guys do it. Yeah, just down below. Do it. It's fine. It takes like a second. Just go do it. I'm watching. Go for it. Okay, cool. Thanks. This video in particular, I'm going to be breaking down my predictions of Fight Night 170 that took place in UFC Brasilia. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so UFC Brasilia, I'm going to take this starting from Francisco Trinaldo against John Makdessi. If I don't mistaken, I think I predicted this to be a Trinaldo victory. Didn't specify the round. I think I thought he was going to actually end Makdessi in a knockout just because of the physique and the experience of Trinaldo or something to definitely admire. Like, that guy is so much bigger than I thought he was when he was fighting Makdessi. So in the first round, I think it was literally all Trinaldo. Like, Makdessi was just holding back, being very, very cautious on what he was doing. Makdessi was being very, very like held back on what he was doing. He was almost being cautious, but at the same, he was very shy. You know, he barely threw a kick or a punch or anything. He was just sort of like ducking back. And on the other hand, Trinaldo was just like, you know, flinging punches, kicks, everything. He didn't try any takedowns, which I was surprised about. But at the same time, it makes sense just because he's such a strong dude. And like, we could see that. So first round, he just completely dominated Makdessi. Even Bisping, when he was commenting, he was saying how you know, Makdessi needs to try to step it up a little bit and sort of, you know, step to the plate to try and beat Trinaldo, because he was very, very shy in those first rounds. The biggest event of the first round, in my opinion, was that Trinaldo like right, which stunned Makdessi. Second round was a little different. And by different, I mean not different at all, because Makdessi continued to back up. He was, you know, he basically, whatever happened in the first round was applied in the second round. In the third round, we saw Trinaldo sort of coming out and being a bit more reserved than he was before. And this is probably because he was tired. Again, this guy's 41 years old. But at the same time, it could have been part of a plan, because he starts slowly. You know, he eats some punches, barely ate anything. And then afterwards, he began to unleash, and he picked up the pace that he had in the first round. This was, I think, the easiest match to call by the judges, which was an easy, you know, decision win by Trinaldo. He won every single round. So now we move on to Johnny Walker against Nikita Krylov. And so me, based on like every information that was given to me, I didn't really know much about Nikita Krylov. Like, I'm going to be completely honest. I just know he's this huge Ukrainian dude, you know, who wants to eat people alive. But other than that, what I did know that made me favor Johnny Walker was that he was coming from a 9 consecutive victory streak, but he had lost his previous fight. So like, people were literally lining up Johnny Walker to fight John Bones Jones. So that's the extent to how good of a heavyweight Johnny Walker was. So I thought that he was just going to completely run over Krylov in this match. In the first round, there were hard exchanges from both parts, just kicking, punching, all the sorts, spinning elbows, all the things that we were expecting. But something that began to emerge also straight from the bat was Krylov's ground game. Like, when he was fighting against Johnny Walker, it was sort of like watching Khabib, because he didn't really go for the, you know, standing up, punch you in the face type approach. He went for the, I'm going to pin you, push you to the cage, you know, lock your legs, and then slowly like dig into you like a snake, like a python. Like, I'm going to wrap myself around you and then just, you know, try to squeeze every bit of energy from you. And that's what I saw from Krylov in the first 2 rounds, completely dominant. At the end of the second round, when Walker was going back to his corner, like, his coach tried to motivate him, like, oh yeah, you won this round, but not at all. It was Krylov's round to take, first and second. And third was a similar story. Krylov pinned Walker to the cage once again, did his thing, punching, held his legs like he did in all the 3 rounds. And ultimately, he won via decision. And again, this was Krylov's victory. Like, you know, like, I was surprised by this. As soon as I saw them fight, I was like, whoa. Like, I was extremely impressed by Nikita's ground game, his strength, his power, you know, because you see a guy like Johnny Walker, like 206 pounds, like, I don't know how tall he is in feet, but dude, like, that guy is hard to just pin anywhere, you know? And the fact that Nikita was able to do that shows, you know, how good he is, and his record shows it. The third fight, this was a bit weird, you know, Moicano against Damir Hadžović. I thought that Moicano was going to win. If you go watch my prediction of this fight between Moicano and Hadžović, I said that because people don't know this, Hadžović was an ex-bodybuilder when he started. So, you know, that's why you see him and he has so much muscle mass. What I predicted was that if it stays, like if the two guys are standing and just keep unleashing punches, like Hadžović is going to completely destroy Moicano just because he's huge, right? But I did say that Moicano has the competitive edge in terms of grappling and jiu-jitsu. So if this were to go on the ground, it's Moicano's game, like any day of the week. And so that's what happened. It was a weird fight because it lasted one round. It lasted like barely a minute. They exchanged maybe one or two punches, and then Moicano, like, you know, flips his legs over, puts Damir down. And, you know, Hadžović, like, we saw a lack of experience in jiu-jitsu because he just quickly gave his back. Moicano, thank you very much. Boom, locks him up. You know, he holds him in that rear naked choke, pulls up, and Hadžović taps. The craziest part wasn't the rear naked choke in that, you know, very fast fashion, but it was rather how, you know, when the two separated, Moicano was almost angry at Hadžović. At the end of the interview, when they interviewed the two fighters, Bisping was like, yo, Moicano, like, you seem very angry, like, what's up, what's the problem? And he was just saying how he wanted the fight to be longer, he wanted to have a long, good fight. And to that, Hadžović replies, and he's like, well, you shouldn't have submitted me then. So I think it was such a weird, like, sort of, you know, it was a weird interaction to have at the end of a fight. Probably also because there was no crowd. I think it's also like to complain also to Dana White, how Moicano wants more of a challenge. He wants harder people. He's like, now I'm top 7. I want to be able to conquer the division, like match me with a different weight class, like do anything you can. And so Moicano wanted to express himself this way, how he wants more. He wants a bigger challenge than Hadžović, which he destroyed. Moving on to the next one, we have Demian Maia against Gilbert Burns. And this one I got incorrect. I went for the veteran Demian Maia. He's just, you know, Demian Maia is a monster, like in all fields. Now, his striking isn't as good as his grappling. Like, Demian Maia is known to be a world-class elite grappler, jiu-jitsu, all sorts. And one thing I underestimated Gilbert Burns about is that I just didn't, like, I saw photos of him, like little videos, but dude, I didn't realize how big this guy was. As soon as these guys squared up in the octagon, I was like, yo, I think I fucked up my prediction. I should have gone for like Burns, dude, because Gilbert Burns, black belt jiu-jitsu. Demian Maia, black belt jiu-jitsu. So if it were to land in a grappling situation, who knows where it's going to go. If these two guys are standing up and just, you know, going away at each other, like, this is Gilbert Burns' match any day of the week because, dude, just look at him. Look at his size. I don't think we need to have an expert MMA fighter to realize that Gilbert Burns is a monster, okay? Like, if he throws a right hand or a left hand or anything, which he did, he'll drop Demian Maia. I underestimated this, and I'll be honest. This is why I got my prediction incorrect. I was expecting this to be a longer fight. I was expecting it to be on the ground, which it was in the first round. Like, they began unleashing some punches, some kicks, but straight off the bat from the first round, you could see that Gilbert Burns was the better, stronger striker. Like, he was just more smooth. He hit harder. But then what happened was that we saw Demian Maia get Gilbert Burns' back. And that I'm like, yo, Burns, you can't leave your back to this world-class jiu-jitsu grappler or he'll end you. But surprisingly, like, he managed to get away. Like, Demian Maia had him on his back, you know, went for the rear naked choke. Gilbert Burns had it, slipped out, and then he like slipped under him, you know, and then he got away from that. And by doing that, Gilbert Burns proved to everybody just how elite his level of grappling is, because getting away from someone like Demian Maia is not easy to do. Ask Ben Askren. Like, and so, you know, it goes back on its feet. We're still in the first round, and then Demian Maia lunges for a hard right. And as soon as he unleashes, Gilbert Burns times it correctly. Gilbert Burns times it, and he's like, you know, he sort of waits him out. Demian Maia has his arm out, and he just, boom, with his left, boom, connects. Because as soon as Demian Maia put his arm out like this, he was completely exposed here. And so Gilbert Burns just reached back, boom, clipped him. He hit him so cleanly. It was like a video game, you know? So as soon as he clips him, Demian Maia just like tumbles down like this, like just out cold. And that was it. And this was the first time where we saw a legit knockout in, you know, this card, which was extremely exciting. It was so smooth. Like, kudos, like props to Gilbert Burns. He was also interviewed after this match, and Gilbert Burns said that he wanted to be matched with Colby Covington. I think he deserves it, dude. He's 18-3. He's a monster. He has so much to prove. And I just hope that he continues to do well. Someone that does that well against Demian Maia, just drops him like that easily. He deserves to be paired with someone as venomous as Colby Covington. Okay, and now we get to the main card. This was, I think, the most exciting part to the whole thing. We have Kevin Lee against Charles Oliveira. Kevin Lee didn't make weight, so straight off the bat, this is where I got worried a little bit. Because usually when fighters don't make weight, yeah, okay, they get stripped of 20, 30% of their purse, whatever. But dude, they have an advantage. Like Kevin Lee looked so big. He looked so big. He looked so muscular, dude. Like when I saw him get in the octagon, I was like, oh my God, it's going to fucking end again. So as soon as the fight started, Oliveira actually came out like a bull. Like just throwing up scissor kicks, like left, right, and center, just boom, like flying everywhere. And so this sort of showed Kevin Lee to, watch out, brother, because I'm going to come in deep for you. And then right away, it went to the ground game, and this is what made the fight so fascinating. And we could see straight away the level of grappling and jiu-jitsu that Charles Oliveira had, because he initially got Lee in a knee lock, then a heel lock, then a triangle, like everything, just switching around like instantaneously. It was crazy. And in many points, like we actually thought he was going to snap the limb of Kevin Lee. We're like, dude, Kevin, get out of there. Like, Kevin, get out of there. It was crazy to watch. And so then in the second round, the fight continued to accelerate a little bit. More punches, more kicks, went back down onto the ground, back to heels and all these different locks. But it was the third round that was crazy. This was the round where I think Kevin Lee, we could have potentially given him the first round for ending on top of Oliveira, although he was dominated for the entirety of the first part of the first round. Second round, I think, went to Oliveira because he just dominated him. The third round was where Kevin Lee had to put it all on the table. Like, if he was going to win this fight, he was going to have to completely show everything he had, punches, kicking, whatever. And that's what he did. Like, he started hitting strong. And then I don't know what happened. I think he got distracted a little bit. And I talked about this, how in my prediction, I said Kevin Lee is a very hard fighter. He acts like he's very strong. But at times, like, he lets the occasion get to him a little bit. And that's what I think happened, because he literally just went for a takedown. And Oliveira just literally, like, he was like, oh, thank you very much. Locked him into the guillotine. Jumped in the air, kept the guillotine, pulled back. And this was another extremely weird part of the fight, because Kevin Lee taps, the ref stops it, and then Kevin Lee begins to continue trying to grapple and hold on to Oliveira. And this is so weird to watch, because when we went back to the replay and we saw, like, Kevin Lee was like, I didn't tap. And then the ref was like, he showed the replay again, and he shows, of course, Kevin Lee tapping. But at the same time, what happened was that Oliveira actually blacked Kevin Lee out. And Kevin Lee basically re-woke up under Oliveira. And so he thought the fight was still going. So it's crazy how there was this, like, this blank in the mind of Kevin Lee. And it's crazy. And obviously the win went to Oliveira. He was, I think, the better grappler in the cage. We're going to see big things coming from this guy, man. Like, he's continuing his streak. He's so good. He's so venomous. That's it. Overall, it was a great card. Despite the fact that there was no audience there, which was a bit weird, it was cool to sort of hear the conversations that took place between the fighters and their coaches. It's something different that we never experienced before, which is dope. But yeah, overall, great card. I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys did too. If you guys are enjoying the content, make sure to subscribe. I'll continue to, dish out more and more content, predictions, UFC related, or, my personal life, whoever. Check out other videos I've made on Fight Night 170, my predictions. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.